Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. I'm glad that you're here, whether you're listening to us on a podcast or you're watching us live tonight on the vodcast. We're happy that you're in our audience. Remember to always like, comment, and share. We love your comments. We have a really great author for you tonight, and we're looking forward to bringing him on in just a minute.
And before we do that, of course, we've got a couple of announcements here. Want to stay tuned after our show. Jump over to Voice of Indie podcast. That's on blogtalkradio.com. And we have a little thingy to go along here with it. Here we go. Today's guest is Marielle Schmidt. She's written quite a few children's books. She's an artist, an author, cover designer, and she's got some adult books as well. But you want to tune in and check her out there on Voice of Indie, along with host Beam Weeks and Stephen G's. That's 8 o'clock every Wednesday. And also this week, today's the 15th, on the 20th, the release of the third book in Magnolia Bluff's Crime Chronicles by Cindy Davis, The Great Peanut Butter Conspiracy. You can pre-order that now. It's available for pre-order, but it actually releases on the 20th of the month.
That's a great title.
It's a great title. And you can read more about that at cindydavisauthor.com. cindydavisauthor.com.
Tori Gates is in the house.
Hey,
Tori, good to have you here. And Chris Chrisman, good evening all. Good evening to you. Paul Hollis. Yay.
Hey, Paul May.
So glad to have you all here. Hello.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Chris.
I think that you're going to really enjoy. Oh,
Joe Conjol.
Hi.
Welcome.
Rob and Joan. Chris says, hello, Paul Hollis.
Everybody's saying hello. Hello.
I know. We're really glad to have you here, for sure. For reals, as they say.
Do you have any other announcements?
No, I just wanted to put this ticker up.
Okay. Well, without further ado, we do have suspense thriller author Patrick Parker.
All right, I'll give you back the control.
Okay, we're going to jump into the control room here.
Okay.
There you are. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Joan. How are you?
Hello, we're good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Hey, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We're really happy to have you.
Thank you for being on the show. So Caleb Pirtle's here too. He
Hello,
said, always
Caleb.
Glad to hear what's going on with another Texas thriller writer.
Another Texas writer.
I know.
Representing Central Texas.
Yep.
You know, Caleb, Rob is just dying to wear his cowboy hat. So maybe for the next
Well, I don't have my
Magnolia
headphones.
Bluff.
I might even this show. You never know.
Oh, Lord, help me. James Ricard said, I made it just in time.
Yeah,
Paul Hollis
James.
says, hi, Chris. And Paul Hollis says, hi, Patrick.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
You guys want a minute to talk to yourself amongst yourselves? That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, we're going to go on with the show.
Okay.
So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired your writing.
Well, I'm a retired Army guy and retired from the Army and then spent 15 years in the defense industry, kind of working in the same type area. What I do is I take from my experience in the military and the defense industry and put it in my books. And my goal is to, aside from entertaining you, I want the author or the reader to walk away saying, what's real and what's fiction here? That's what I try to do. And I try to make it as real as possible. And how I got started in this was kind of I guess my wife threw down the gauntlet, really. I was traveling and I'd get a book to read while I was on the plane and we're traveling. And I got on a couple of books. The first one I read, I thought, there is so many errors in here and it's wrong. And this was by a name brand publisher. So I come back and I was complaining to her about it and she shook her head. Then about the next week or two, the same thing happened. I come back, I complained about it. And I said, I can do better than this. I could write a better book than this. And the third time when I come back, I said the same thing. And she just says, well, do it. And so that's what happened. So I did it. And that's when I wrote Treasures of the Fourth Reich.
So Chris Chrisman says the chat is where it's at, LOL. And he's right. The chat is. We love the chat. We love the comments. Don't let Rob stop you. And Chris, well, you made a rude remark. And Chris Chrisman says, as a reader, it is always easy to spot a military writer who doesn't know what they are talking about. That's true.
That's true. That's true.
We were just talking about that pre-show. We were just saying how military people really love reading military books that are authentic and the person knows what they're talking about. They hate the making it up stuff,
Yes.
All right, let's see. You mentioned your first book, and that is
Treasures
of the Fourth Reich, a novel of suspense. That's a neat cover.
Thank you.
And that's an interesting story.
Yeah, and it's based on actual events, or it's historical.
Right.
So what I did was just take a right turn from history, and in school you learn about the rape of Europa and how the Nazis stole all the treasures, all the way down to the church bells in every country they went through, every city. And so, it's kind of interesting in school. It didn't really mean that much. But then when I was in Italy, I was walking where history happened. And I was trying to imagine, the Nazis are right here. They were going through here. And I come across some maps of the old treasure routes. When they would get a truckload of treasures, they would take it a certain way. And I was fascinated by that. And then you'd go to the museums, you'd see all the statues and read some of the history. And so I said, this would be just a super book. So in my research, I found out that there was one captain that was in charge of signing off that the treasures were returned or destroyed. He was responsible, saying, I verify it's done. So that was one of my characters in the book. And then that character teamed up with, there was a Nazi SS major that was in charge of the security of the mines at Alta Se, where they were storing treasures, gold, all that stuff. He was in charge of that. And then he was detailed out to start making preparation. They knew they were going to lose the war. So they started having him to go out and build these caches or take truckloads of treasures to store it in mines, in caves, and just hide it throughout the region to fund the Fourth Reich. And that was the whole intent. And so it just so happens during the story, the captain that was in charge of signing off on all of the treasures that were returned or compensation made teams up with this ex-Nazi guy, and they form an alliance. And after the war, they start selling off the treasures. And then my female protagonist that is in the story, she wants to write a coffee table book. And so she starts doing research, and she becomes fascinated with the treasures and what happened. And then she starts stumbling on to treasures that really go back to this organization selling off the treasures. And she starts following it. She gets captured and all that stuff. And so that's what that story's about. And along the way, I really put in some real things that really happened.
So Chris Chrisman said that he grew up in a military household, and he asked something that's funny because we just talked about this. That was the second part. He said the movie Monument Men, was it fairly accurate to, just curious. He's just wondering if that's accurate to what actually happened.
Yeah, my book is much better than that. And there was a few people that reviewed my book just after that movie came out, and they contacted me, said, was your book the basis for this? And I said, no, but mine's a lot better than the story. Did Monument Men focused more on these professional art people, if you will. They were professors. They knew about art and the protection art. And that's what their job was, not so much the military part. But yeah, there was a lot of, I guess you would say, authenticity, that they were just civilians one day and kind of brought in to go find the art, protect the art a certain way so it could be shipped and not destroy it. If it had some damage, they would try to figure out how to fix it. And they also were the basis for forming the art investigation unit. So there's
Caleb Hurdle says, I guess the lost historical treasures the Nazis took during World War II remains as one of our greatest unsolved mysteries.
That's very true.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
And I was just going to say, Josh Gates has just done a documentary on that. If you watch Expedition something, I don't know. Expedition, no, that's the unknown. Yep,
one of those expeditions.
And then,
you're right. There was a lot of that stuff that disappeared. Nobody knows. I have my own thoughts of what happened, like the Amber Room. What happened to it? Where is it? There's about 3 or 4 theories there. I think it's really in somebody's basement somewhere.
We're really talking about hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions, probably billions at this point with inflation.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
that has never been found. So Joe Conjal says, hi, Patrick. Outside of the
teal,
I don't think you mean teal.
True.
Or true elements of your books. Do you plot the whole story ahead of time? The tale? Well, anyway, outside of the elements in your books, do you plot the whole story ahead of time, or are you a pantser style and let the characters lead the storyline?
Joe, that's a good question. I've been asked that a whole bunch of times.
Real.
Okay. I tried the very first time to sit there and outline it, because a lot of people say that's what you need to do. Well, and then I'm sitting there, and really, I just turned it over to the characters, and they took off with it. And it didn't. The only thing that the characters followed from what the author put down was the ending. There were treasures stolen. They were trying to get them back, and some of the other things that happened were based on true events. But other than that, how they got there, I can't do that. And even each one of my books, you got to get out of the way, and the authors or the characters will write it.
Yeah, they do. They are very determined as to what they want to do or not do.
Absolutely.
Chris
if you want them to go, if you want them to go a certain way and they don't want to, they quit.
They're not going to go, and that's the truth. Chris says the book is always better, and he also says, I like writers who can mix real stuff with great fiction.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
That was Patrick's point.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris also says the characters run the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they do. I know that Caleb always says that if you're stuck, and if you have writer's block, it's because you're trying to make the characters do something they don't want to do.
Absolutely.
And when he said that, it was just like, oh, eureka.
Yeah, and you got to get up, go take a walk or go do something. That's what I do. So, yeah.
Now, on the cover of the Reich,
I'll bring it back.
Treasures of the Fourth Reich. What is that building? Or those buildings?
It's supposed to be I guess you'd call it an estate, or maybe the historical building. That's what's supposed to be, just where they could store treasures, or where somebody
could be specific, though.
Well, they made headquarters in Italy and all over Europe, and they took over beautiful places like that and just made them their headquarters.
Yes. Absolutely. Why build one? You just steal one. So
I know. Let's see.
We're hearing some thunder, so.
Oh, good. Send it my way, will you?
We may have a storm here in a few minutes, but it's kind of grumbling out there. It'll probably blow by.
So Chris Christmas said, would you go down that alley? I wouldn't, LOL.
There you go.
I'm not exactly sure what he means.
I don't know either, but he also said Eagles Keep as maybe the building. I don't know.
Well,
could be where they keep the
Eagles. You can
Eagles,
explain, Chris. We'll put it up here when you explain.
Yeah.
Explain yourself, young man.
I've
Oh, yeah, your
kind of been in some
characters.
shady places. Oh,
Yeah.
your characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
The characters got to do it.
they
And
run the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they will do some shady things too sometimes.
There you go.
Unexpected things.
Unexpected things. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
true.
Some of the stuff that has happened in some of our books has scared me. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you said you take your characters are all people that you met for the most part throughout the whole thing. What kind of are there any? Could you describe some of those characters without giving anything away?
Well, like one character, Bart Madison. He's an ex-special forces guy. He was one of the guys that turned traitor. And I've worked with some special forces guys before, and they all kind of about the same, but none of them that I know of today turned traitor. They're still good guys. But
That's
this
good.
is just one of them.
to make that clear.
Yeah, and they're all kind of a rugged type guy, and that's why I made Bart Madison. You'll see that their complexion's kind of weathered, creases in their face. So I had to paint that, and they're most usually no nonsense guys. So that's kind of what I did. Build them that way, and they'll have certain little things they do, weapons they carry, or what they do. So that's what I do, just bits and pieces.
Okay.
So
Okay, cool.
Caleb Pirtle says, my favorite characters, I love this, are the ones that stumble into a scene and you can't get rid of them. They never leave the story. That's true, Caleb. And sometimes they become a part of the whole series because they're not going away.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
And Chris Chrisman says, like Marines, all Marines are the same in a good way. I was thinking too, my brother's retired Secret Service. They're all alike.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. One of my friends said, well, tell me what your brother's wearing. So the next time there's a presidential speech, this was back when Reagan was president, I'll know which one it is. And I said, yeah, good luck. He'll be the one in the dark suit wearing glasses and having earbuds in his
or talking into his cuff. Yeah, that's right. And I kind of point out those same things in my book. I've just in 2 different books, there's 2 different FBI women, and they're kind of patterned after real people. No, they always wear the traditional black and white. They always have their pistol, and they're no nonsense.
Yep,
and
they
got to be, and in real life, they have to be tougher than woodpecker lips just to survive their job. And so I make them that way in the book. So
there's some of your Texas is coming
Texans
out.
have a turn of speech that it's different than the rest of our us. But my brother was
in a good way.
My grandfather's funeral, and we could see him. His eyes were shifting left to right.
While we're at the graveyard.
While we are putting my grandfather literally into the dirt. And I thought, what the heck? He looks like he does when, he's actually protecting somebody. And he noticed some activity. And what he saw was I think they were gun runners, and he could tell from the way that they were acting that they were up to something, and they had been hired by the cemetery to dig the graves with machinery, and my brother caught them.
Got them all. What, were they digging and burying the guns there to get them later?
I don't know what they were doing. He was never very clear on that, but
they had a place
he went after them as soon as my grandfather was in the dirt, and he got them all.
Oh, good.
Arrested them.
That's a good story.
That's a true story. But his son is the author, so he can use it. Caleb says, almost everything the specials do are fiction, but done in real places in real time.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
It is unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. Intimidation.
Intimidation saves us from a lot of fights.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's Chanel.
And here's Chanel. Hi, Chanel. Hello, watching from my basement as we are under a tornado warning. Okay.
Oh, no.
She's in Wisconsin.
Riding out the storm.
Oh, stay safe. Stay safe.
Yeah.
He
for
says,
sure.
Chris says he can spot a bad guy in a crowd every time. Apparently, my brother can too.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
them anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
spot a
Yeah.
good guy?
Yeah.
That's
You got
the
to start
key.
looking for
Yeah.
the good guys.
Truth sounds better than fiction. Yeah. 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 That's right. That's right. It
Yeah, and
does.
over the last couple of years, just what I'm doing and observe, it's like, wait a minute, a fiction writer could not make this stuff up. What we see is, if you put it in a book, they say, "This is trash. I ain't gonna read that. That can never happen." But it is happening.
Yeah.
It is happening. I had somebody say to me, "Wait a minute, your politicians in here that in this particular scene." You kind of made them sound cartoonish like or not real. And I said,
They
have you
all
looked
are.
at the news lately? Where do you think I got these guys? So, and he said, well, you do have a point there. So he got off the top.
Chris
That's
lives
funny.
among the real rednecks.
Hey, good deal.
We need to break for our first
Okay.
sponsor
Commercials,
break. Our
yeah.
word
Our
from our
sponsor,
sponsor.
yes.
Let's see. And now a word from our sponsor.
We'll be right back.
Stay with us, everybody.
Dear Lord, she's still alive.
Who's still alive?
Maris, that's who.
Come on, Angie, that's impossible.
Impossible or not, she's still alive, I tell you. She killed that boatload of people, and she's just getting started. There's no limit to what she will do.
It's not easy to kill a siren. It takes a formula and a plan. Siren Song 2 is the spellbinding sequel to Siren Song. Both novels by George Dismukes.
Siren Song 2 will be on bookshelves and bookseller websites in July. Don't miss it.
In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. Bioprints is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out Bioprints today.
We're
Do that.
back.
Be there.
And listen, who's in the house?
Hey, Beam is in the
Reads.
house.
Hello.
Greetings
How
to
you
you as
doing?
well.
We just plugged your show a little while ago, Beam. Asked people to tune in after ours. Chris Chrisman has a question for you. How much time do you spend on research?
A tremendous amount. Even when
Yeah.
I'm writing, it's wait a minute, I gotta go check this out. Even down
Yeah.
to the pistol a person would use,
Yeah.
or down to the rifle, or whatever happened. I may do quite a bit to think, I've got this, but then once I start writing and the characters take over, well, I gotta tell you what this is and what this is about, get it right. And in the last two books, F-16s are involved. I'm an Army guy. I don't know anything about the Air Force except they fly planes and they bomb things. And then when we need an A-10, they come in. So I have a friend that's an F-16 pilot that he's been coaching me and helping me. And I told him, I said, whatever I put down on paper, it's got to be right. I don't want some other F-16 pilot say it ain't right. I mean, down to, the cockpit, the smell, the JP6 and all that stuff,
Did he take you on a flight?
Oh,
No, I wish he would, but
I think it takes you out of the story. If you know something about what you're reading about and it's grossly inaccurate, it takes you right out of the story. So
sure does.
that's why it's a good thing that you do that. Chris says he seems like he spends more time researching, making sure the science is right. And then he
Chris,
said,
I do
mine
the
is
same.
the nuclear reactor power plant. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And I have in two of my books, I deal with nuclear weapons. And so I understand what you're talking about, even though I did some of that in the Army when I was in Italy.
Yeah.
So I just say I'm I have a basic knowledge of it, but I know when I need to go find out.
Yep. The science has to be right, Chris
Yeah, it
says,
does.
and that's truth. It really does have to be right. Let's bring up your other books
Book
before
number
we
2.
Okay.
get too much further. Book number 2 is War Merchant.
Yes. And
Award-winning.
this is about a woman that she was actually adopted, and she had a son, and she was adopted by this man and his wife. He is a black market arms dealer. Of course, she's a young woman. She doesn't know, but she needs to work. He puts her to work. And then she finally realizes that, wait a minute, this is something I need out of. So she does his dirty work. She'll go to places, third world countries, really some bad places, dealing with bad people. And she wants to break free of him to have a normal life. But Claiborne Zygmunt, the black market arms dealer, keeps her in check by having her son away at a private school, and he guards him. So she's trying to figure out how to do that. And so she finally comes up with a plan to break him free and escape his control when Zygmunt comes up with this brand new technology, and she's supposed to deliver it to terrorists. And so she has to go to the manufacturer in Texas who's making this handheld device that can penetrate computers through the back doors and gain access. And they are selling it to the terrorists so they can bring down NATO, is what their theory is, or fight NATO.
Paul Hollis said, great cover, and it is a great cover. You can certainly tell
Paul.
that.
Thank you.
That the woman is.
Yeah, that kind of tells the story. She's not. I mean, she's been trained and all that. She's not in the military. She's just a civilian that knows her way around, and she's pretty deadly.
She looks
knows
tough.
her way around a rifle.
She looks tough.
Yeah.
Now the next book is 6 Minutes Early.
Yes, that's about this ex-special forces guy I mentioned earlier. He turned traitor, and he goes to work first with the FARC, and they stumble onto, or they learn about this secret nuclear storage facility, and they come with the idea. The FARC commander wants the weapons, wants the conventional weapons, not the nuclear weapons. But the mercenary or the ex-special forces guy says, there's some nuclear weapons. We get some money out of this. So they team up with ISIS to sell the nuclear weapons. And so they raid it, steal 6 weapons. They're man-packed portable nukes. And it's a chase throughout the Middle East, and one makes it all the way into the United States.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And scary.
Yeah, very scary. Chris Christman says, like that cover. It says action.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. It does. Yep.
That's
supposed to give you an idea of what the target is.
Yeah, let me see. Let me put that up again. 6 Minutes Early. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's an award winner too.
Yep.
That's very good. It's a good. Yeah, they're all good covers.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. We have another comment here.
Now, while you bring up to the comment,
Backpack nukes are his greatest fear.
Yeah,
and I don't want to get into politics too much, but with Putin being the head of the Russian government, it's kind of scary, you know?
Well, the whole situation is scary. Well, I don't think he would use them. That's going to open up a whole new ball game, but you're right.
He keeps saying he'll use them. That's the scary part.
Yeah.
Chris Christmas says it's an
saber
awesome
rattling,
cover.
you know.
Thank you, Chris. And if you want to know about the and see what one looks like of the backpack nukes, on my webpage, I've got several little videos, and it's titled SATMs, Special Atomic Demolition Munitions, is what that acronym stands for. So it's there. You can see it, and we had those in Italy as well as some other nuclear weapons. And so I thought that's a neat thing to write a book about.
Chris said he's seen them.
Okay, then you know what I'm talking about. Yep.
And he also said, as far as, and I believe he's referring to Putin, he's been watching from inside contacts. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
It's just
Let's,
it's just
speaking
scary.
of context.
Okay.
Speaking of contacts, we're going to let
maybe I
everybody
should-
know
Hey,
Maybe
where to
I
get a
should
hold
bring
of
up
you.
his
Yeah.
contacts. That would be
there it
good.
is.
So here you can find Patrick on Facebook at patrick.parker13. I'll go ahead and I'll spell this time. PatrickParker. And his website is patrickparkerbooks.wixsite.com. So that Wix site is WIXSITE. And I think you can get Patrick Parker Books. You can probably spell that. Instagram, Patrick Parker Books. Twitter is PParkerNTX. Patrick Parker in Texas. His Twitter
You
is
got it.
PParkerNTX. And his email is patrickparkerbooks@gmail.com. You kept it so simple for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we go to your book giveaway, let me bring up these comments. Caleb Pirtle says, what's the old saying? World War II will be fought with sticks and stones. Sorry, World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Oh, that is a scary.
Yeah.
That is a scary saying, Caleb, because you know what that means. Oh.
Let's just hope we never have to find out.
That's right. That's right. I agree.
Amen. I agree. But we were raised with duck and cover. I'm not exactly sure how that was going to save us.
Oh, yeah. No, but it sure did make us feel good at the time. I remember in school, this is kind of neat. You know, you talk to the girls over here and not do schoolwork. So
yeah, it was a little break from school, right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, there might be an atom bomb going off near you someplace. So that was a great way to grow up. So Chris Chrisman says, I've always wanted to be a ground zero. Well, it'd be the last thing you ever see.
Yeah. I don't. My dermatologist I go to, he's asked me if I've ever been around with a nuclear explosion. I said, no. He said he used to be somewhere that he would treat the workers and the people at Bikini Atoll when the nuclear bombs went off. And he said, yeah, they got skin cancers. They got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So Chris Chrisman says 15 miles from Fort Dix and McGuire.
Yeah,
we're right here at
McDowell,
Central Command.
Central Command. Yeah. So it's like,
I know. We're right near. Right near. The whole shebang here. It's like, great.
You know, I did want to mention before we get too far away from it, my follow-on book. It hasn't been released yet. Hopefully, pretty soon. It's called Broken Arrow: Acts of Treason. This is a sequel or a follow-on book from 6 Minutes Early. My ex special forces guy turned traitor gets with the Muslim Brotherhood and ISIS, and then he steals 6 B-61 bombs from Incirlik Air Base during the coup that was happening. You know, and the coup happened during the presidential election, and so they want to do bad things with the nuclear weapons, and to kind of lead you down the path. Since the one of the lady that's running for election, she's leading, and then all of a sudden she drops in the polls. They get scared, and her husband comes up with this bright idea to contract with the Muslim Brotherhood to bring one of the nuclear weapons in, explode it, take out her opponent, and then she would go on the air and say, you know, bad things about him because he would allow this to happen. She's trying to stop it and all this stuff. So, and it's kind of a pretty exciting book too.
Okay. Sounds good. Looking forward to that. When will that be ready?
I don't know yet. I'm still pushing it, trying to get it out. I mean, I finished writing it, so it's just the final things you'd have to do. So hopefully pretty soon.
All right, let's do the book giveaway as soon as we come back from commercial. We'll go ahead
have
and
another word from our sponsor.
Our last couple of minutes, and then when we get back, get your fingers ready, guys, and get ready to enter the book giveaway.
We'll do the book giveaway, and also we'll talk about, because Patrick also is writing book number 5 now, because he's just about finished with 4. So we'll talk about that one too.
So let's get our sponsors happy.
Hold on, and we'll be right back with the book giveaway.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book one of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
This award-winning thriller has it all. Murder, political intrigue, mob revenge, and a bit of romance. Not to mention strong female and male characters with a storyline that could be tomorrow's headline news. Now for a quick peek into our story. To help solving a nationwide plot involving the assassination of several U.S. senators, the O'Rourke team is called in. To complicate matters, they now have to work against the clock to rescue one of their own. You see, the mob didn't take too kindly to the O'Rourke team's involvement last spring. It seems to have led to the indictment of their boss. Will they succeed?
We're back.
We're back.
Howdy.
A couple of comments before we go to the book giveaway. Chris Chrisman says, Pop took us to a civil defense drill 3 days in an underground bunker in 1962.
That's something to remember, right?
Oh. And he also says, can I say to Patrick and others, I'm age 65 and so happy to see other authors my age being successful. We are not dead yet.
Hey,
That is
you're
true.
right. Thank you, and you are right. You are right. And we're not old, by the way. We're not old.
Like I told you before, I'm old. The rest of you may not be old.
No.
I'm older than Chris by a lot. Let's see. Well, let's do the book giveaway.
Okay, book giveaway. I think we'll have one.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. Here we go. Book giveaway. The first 3 people to email patrickparkerbooks@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of choice. Okay. 3 wonderful books that are available right now. And something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. So again,
I think I'm going to enter. Just kidding.
Go ahead.
You can choose either Treasures of the Fourth Reich, which that's just
sounds fascinating.
Yeah, that whole thing, that truly does fascinate me. That whole
Me too.
deal.
Oh, yeah.
Where is all that stuff? And all the gold too. There's billions of dollars worth of gold that they took that still hasn't been found. War Merchant. I like a strong woman character.
Yeah, she is. And I didn't know what I was going to title that book to the very end, but at the end, if you read the book, you'll see when the female protagonist in there, she describes her boss as a war merchant. And that was the name.
Cool. That was a great name. Great title.
6 minutes early, so get typing.
You have to read the book to figure out how I got the title on that one.
Yeah,
Right,
better than 6 minutes late, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes,
Based on the
books are on
timer
Amazon.
of that man-packed portable nuke is where that came from, based on the timer.
So Chris Chrisman says, mine says 27. My body says, hell no, dude, you're every bit of 100.
I've had that conversation.
And are
Yep.
the books on Amazon? Yes, they
Yes.
are. You
Yeah.
can find him on Amazon for sure.
Yep.
No problem.
Yep.
All right. So we said we would talk about book number 5, which is also now beginning.
Yes. I'm probably about a third of the way, at least, maybe a little over on that one. And it is actually a sequel to Broken Arrow, Acts of Treason. Without giving a lot of the whole story away, there was one B-61 bomb that was never recovered. And so it's my antagonist there comes in and he wants revenge. And so he planning on killing the people that tried to set him up in the last book. And then he teams up, like I say, with the Muslim Brotherhood to bring in the last nuke to explode it. And right now, his plan is to take out the main person that tried to set him up.
You know, Chris brings up a good question because, and actually I've heard this also, don't we still have one that is lost? And I thought that we did. Do you know about that or not, Patrick? In the ocean, he says.
Is he talking about the one off Spain? I think they recovered the one off Spain. There was one in a river in South Carolina, I think, but they have lost several.
That's great.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And they were
Where
reassuring.
did I put that?
Yeah, they were accidentally dropped out of an aircraft. I don't know that the Army has ever lost one. The one in Spain, just off the coast of Spain, they did recover. I mean, they were there doing a lot of stuff. They had to take about 6 inches of whole topsoil off of the whole area where it hit, and I mean, just everything was contaminated. They had to take it away, and they rebuilt it. There's been several others. I don't remember all of them, but they, you can look up Broken Arrow, and it. I think it's Google that will tell you where some of the lost ones are, or talk about them.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because if they knew where they were, they wouldn't be lost now, would they?
Exactly. Exactly. And
Google
one
knows
falls out of
Google does.
one falls out of a plane that's flying over. It's going to get buried in the mud pretty deep. So
well,
you just
that's
hope it doesn't go off sometime.
that's true. Yes, absolutely.
That's true. Yeah, they're still finding all sorts of landmines over in Europe that,
Oh.
Yes.
in people's yards and stuff in England and
In the
Yep.
the East, the Middle East.
yeah,
Yeah.
all over the place.
And they will for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's still parts of the ocean in the Eastern Oceans that are full of mines. So.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We don't want to go there.
So
No.
an important process in your writing is your writers group, and from
Yes.
what you were saying in the pre-show, they're quite a great group. Can you tell us a little bit about that process that you guys have going?
Yeah, what we do is we'll meet the first and third Saturday of the month, and I've great people there. I mean, they're really good, and they're kind of a diverse group, and they write different things, obviously. But what we do, you will write a chapter or whatever it is. We try to limit it to about 10 or 12 pages, and then you take it to the group, and 2 people will take that home with them, and they'll spend their time reading it and reviewing it, critiquing it, and make suggestions to you. And then they bring it back the next meeting, and then somebody in the group will read that piece of material that you wrote, whether it's a chapter or whatever, to the group. And then those 2 people that took the written critique home will give their critique and say what they liked, didn't like, or whatever they want to say. And then the rest of the group members will provide their input from that reading right then. And we keep doing that over and over again. And it is very, very effective, I think. It's very good. I think we've got one, he used to be an actor. Then we've got, I think there's a dentist we have in there, an ex-chiropractor. Then we got retired school teachers, just everything. And we always invite, hey, if you want to come join us, see what the process is all about, we invite you to come. And if you all are ever in this area, stop in. We'd love to have you. But what we do is it's not vindictive. It's not mean. It's like, this is the way I see it, perceive it, whatever. Or I think this word is a better word. And we go from there. And then it's up to the author of that piece to take the advice, use some of it or all of it.
Yeah, and it's a constructive criticism is a good way to learn. So
Yes.
constructive criticism.
Yeah. And then from there, then you're encouraged to get your beta readers to read it and then go on from there. So,
Yeah, beta readers are a good thing because they will say to you, well, I didn't understand that. What do you mean by that? And, like I come from an Irish background and so does Rob. And so our main female protagonist is named Siobhan, which, I mean, everybody knows the name Siobhan. That's the way you think because that's the way you were raised. Everyone you were raised with did. But one of our beta readers said, is that a Swedish name? And how do you say that? And I was like, oh, yeah, it is spelled kind of funny because it's Gaelic. So,
yeah.
So we had to put in parentheses that it was Irish and this is the way that you said it. So that was a help. So, because you don't want to take readers out of your story over something like that,
Right,
the name of a character.
Exactly. And that's a good point. The name of the character is very important. I spend a lot of time on mine. It should be a name that fits the situation. If he's from the Middle Eastern, like one of my characters' name is Al Ghazali. Okay. And he's from the Middle East. And then Bart Madison, who is American, and there's Max Kenworth. But if I name the guy from the Middle East, Sam or Bill or George, you say, wait a minute, that doesn't work. And it may be hard to pronounce their name, but that's who they are.
So Joe Concho just said, well, he asked, is everyone in your group a Texas author, or do you also connect across the other areas of the country via Teams or some other online chat?
Currently, it's just everybody in our local area, but we invite anybody to come in. And we did have some people, they moved away and they did interact with us for a little while, and then they dropped off. Don't know why. But right now, it's just our group.
Okay. That's cool.
Texas.
Yes.
And Linda just said, Caleb said, but I'm not sure.
What she said, yeah.
What did Linda say, Caleb?
What did she say?
She's a retired school teacher, by the way.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Linda just said, amen. She spends more time with names than the plot.
There you go.
One adds to the other.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
I had one of the ladies in our group. She would always say, I cannot pronounce your characters' names, these Middle Eastern guys.
Yeah.
It reminds me when Tom Clancy was writing his books about the Russians. I couldn't pronounce their names either. And we all laughed about it and said, that's true, but you remember those guys. And they're Russian, so they're going to have a Russian name. And so my guys are Middle Eastern, and so they're going to have a Middle Eastern name. So yes, that is extremely important.
And anymore, you can take your phone and say the word or type it in, and it'll tell you how to pronounce
it for you.
Yeah. Which is easy way to
go. They never pronounce it the way we Texans pronounce it,
No, I know you guys do it right. But,
y'all special group down there.
You betcha. Yeah.
We have a.
Isn't it right, Caleb?
We have a choice for Texas dialect on here too, so
okay.
Push that and it'll come back with that voice. Yeah.
Okay.
I love the sayings of Texans. I really do.
Yeah, you guys come up with some good ones.
I was reading something the other day that said these are expressions that Southerners or Texans use.
Yeah.
I was reading what's so odd about this? They said a lot of people don't know. Okay.
Well, 4 of our nieces and nephews come from Wisconsin. And when they would spend vacation and stuff with us, I can remember one time our youngest daughter and one of her cousins were sitting talking, and she asked her, the cousin asked our daughter, "What's in the bag?" And and our daughter said, "What's in what?" So I guess this went on for a few minutes, and they brought me in, and they said, she goes, "I just want to know what's in the bag." And I said, "In the what?" Well, she was saying bag, which I've always said bag, but in Wisconsin,
It's got a little
they
more
say
of a
bag.
hey,
What's in the bag?
because we should ask Chanel about that. She'd know.
Oh, Chanel, sorry.
Well, it's not bad. It's just different.
I'll tell you a story. When they sent me to Italy, I had to go to language school first, and I got lucky. My wife got to go too, and we couldn't be in the same section, but the same class. And we weren't there too long, and you'd have to practice Italian every day and all this dialogue. And we had this one professor. He had a PhD. He was a native Italian, but he had a PhD in English. That's why he taught there. And he pulled my wife aside one day and said, "Signora, please help me. I just cannot understand your husband." And she looks up at him and she says, "Well, Armando, he can't understand you either." So we're on even keel.
So Crispin wants to know, do you write foreign language when writing sometimes? And words, maybe he means.
Chris, yes, in a word. And we discussed this in our writers group. You're writing in English, and for an English audience, unless you're foreign published and they translate it. So you need to write it where they can understand it. So we may have a short phrase, a couple of words, and I do that frequently. But I do it in a way so you'll know what the word means.
They're like recognizable
Yes.
words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
James Ricard said, "I guess I need a new phone."
James, you'll never keep up with technology, I tell you.
We just got new phones today, James.
Yeah. And we'll trade you.
We're very headachy right now. Caleb says, "We Texans take a Middle Eastern name and add at least 4 more syllables." That is right. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, Joe Conchel says, and this was a good one, wasn't it, Joe? Joe says, "I agree. I'm going to steal the harder than a woodpecker's lip."
Absolutely.
I love that one. Oh, and Chris goes, "Is it a bag or a sack?" That's right.
There you go.
A bag or a sack. You're right.
Yeah.
And James says, "My newest Texas is calling a bad guy Sidewinder." Oh,
Sidewinder.
that's your Texas stuff.
Yeah.
I like the woodpecker's lips harder than, because
Tougher
how hard
than a
must those
woodpecker.
lips be?
You just stop to think about it, Isn't that pretty accurate?
It's very picture.
Our friends
perfect.
in Tennessee say, "How are you doing?" "Oh, finer than frog's hair."
Finer than
Yeah,
frog.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. He's on that like white on rice. Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So Chris said, "I had a Chinese character, uses one word, then explains it to the American." Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, me, I just had an Irish name. Being a Boston Irish Catholic, I thought everybody knew it. Siobhan. Come on. Every other kid is named Siobhan. What are you kidding?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we named our poor son Sean and spelt it Sean the correct way. And he's been called Scene more times than he'd like to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's become more popular now. So
Than when he was born.
when he was born, it was not that common.
No,
You're
it
a
was not.
trendsetter. A trendsetter.
Yes, no, not a trendsetter. Unfortunately, that name had been in our family for generations, so not exactly a trend. But Sean and Seamus, John and James. Oh, Marjorie Daring.
Hey, Marjorie.
Hi, Marjorie.
Dang, I just got home. I have to watch the rewind. Yes, you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
It'll be on there, posted on Facebook, pin tweet or pinned post.
So Chris
So-
Chrisman said, Joan, I was married to a redheaded Irish gal, 27 years. I get it, LOL. I am a natural redhead. Redheads turn to have blonde hair when they go white. So I used to be a redhead. And my daughters bought him a t-shirt that said, pray for me. I'm married to an Irish woman.
Oh,
He needed the prayers.
Yeah, it came in handy.
well, my
Over the years.
my female protagonist in War Merchant is a redhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they better watch out.
Yeah, yeah, and she is tougher than woodpecker lips.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're known to have kind of a quick temper too, which is not wrong. Oh, Chris said she slowly went blonde. Yeah, I did too. People would say, why are you bleaching hair blonde? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. You can't bleach red hair. I've got news, folks. It doesn't work.
Well, let me put you on the spot. It's something we always ask, or we're often asked. What kind of advice would you have for somebody who is just getting, feeling the bug that they need to write, but they don't know quite how to start? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I would say, well, one, since I'm sold on a writers group, find a writers group. Number one. Two, you got to sit down and write. It starts with one word. It doesn't matter if you're very polished or not. You should not be intimidated. If you get into a good group, you're going to grow just exponentially. And that's what my group has done. But you have to sit down and write. It's one word at a time. How do I start? One word, start.
In the beginning.
That's it.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. And then you're going to hear people say, well, no. And I always like the saying is there's all kinds of rules. They're very strict rules to writing, but nobody knows what they are. So just write.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to find a writer's group for somebody?
Start the library. Go to your library. They usually have them. Sometimes the bookstores, or if you just kind of look around, you'll find them.
Okay.
Online too.
Yeah.
Online.
You
Yeah.
find stuff online.
Yeah.
So Chris says button chair, time on the keyboard, routine.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely.
I think that I think what stops a lot of people is anyone that's creative, whether you're an artist or, what kind of an artist you are, whether you're a writer or a painter, or, sculptor. I think that you spend so much time with the creation that it's difficult then to put it out there for review. It's scary, right. I think, but
scary is the right word. Yes.
Yeah. That's he said fear of rejection. Chris Chrisman said it is a big thing that hinders people. That which brings us to this. Please leave a review if you read a book, especially if you really like the book. And then when you write the review, if you could just give a little description about what you liked about the book, why it appealed to you, because then when I read reviews, I don't know about you guys, but when I read reviews, I look for that. Okay. Oh, I like that. I like reading about that. So then that makes me think, well, then I want to buy that book, Yeah. But if you have criticism, as long as it's constructive criticism, not just hate speech,
yes.
then we all appreciate constructive criticism too.
That's the way I look at it too. If I don't know what I did wrong and you won't tell me, but you think it's bad, how can I change or how can I get better? So I want the criticism. And I agree with Chris that there is a great fear of rejection. Writing is a very solitary hobby, if you will, or endeavor. You're alone except for you and your computer and your imaginary characters. So, you spend a lot of time with those guys. So if somebody shoots it down, but hey, not everybody's going to like what you write. It doesn't matter. Just write it.
No, not everybody's, and that's okay. Not everybody has to like the same thing. Yeah. So I don't like horror.
And you can write while you're doing other things,
Yeah.
So Chris says he started as a photographer, then a painter, then wood carving and laboratory, now writing. He said, I have to create. Apparently you do.
Yeah.
You must have a pretty thick skin by now. Joe Conjul says, you can also check the city you're in. Here in Charlotte, we have the Charlotte Writers Club, and they have several critique groups you can join. Very nice.
Great.
That's great. And then Chris said everyone has different tastes. That's right. Everyone does have
That's
different tastes and like different genres, and some people like a lot of genres. Caleb Pirtle says, the great Mississippi writer Eudora Valley said, turning your manuscript over to an editor is like walking into the room stark naked and turning slowly around.
That's true. That's true.
That is true. Editing hurts.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially when you have to rewrite everything.
Oh boy, yeah. But
Chris says you must.
They're just trying to help you get better.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it is hard though.
Or you stop using editors.
But then you self edit so much too that you know that by the time finally it's out, you forget what you wrote.
Yeah. What did I mean there?
For sure.
Did I really say that? Is that what I wanted to say?
And you know,
even then stuff gets passed.
We talk in our group a lot that, you know, you can have the perfect manuscript up here, but when it gets down to here, somehow it doesn't translate. So you need people to help you get it pretty close to what you think it is. And then even if it's a good manuscript, two people won't walk away with the same exact picture, which is a good thing. So,
yeah. Oh, Chris says that's really funny. He had to look up one of his characters did in the first book, LOL. I think that happens to all of us, Chris.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean,
you lose track of them, you know.
Yeah, I kind of like to.
Kind of hurts their feelings too, I think.
Yeah, I kind of like to keep a running description of different things so that I don't forget what I'd said about what at certain points. So I can look that up and say, oh, that's right, rather than have to read the whole book again.
mm-hmm.
I've read it many times already.
Oh, yeah, I go back to.
Yep. You have to let it go because you can always make it better in your mind.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I think it's difficult for me to get across certain nuances in writing. So like sarcasm and things like that. You want people to understand that you're being sarcastic or tongue in cheek and that, yes, you did mean that to be funny.
Yeah. And sometimes that's just very hard to do. Or you meant this person to be mean and nasty. You need to come off that way.
That's where a writer's group would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I saw something the other day from Ken Follett. He said, if you're going to have a bad character, make him bad. But he's got to be believable, you know? So,
believably bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think people can believe a lot of things about bad people nowadays. There's been enough bad going on that
you don't get a new chapter in that book on bad people today of all walks of life. So, yeah.
Well, I think we're about it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've enjoyed visiting with you. And
thank you for having
sharing all your trade secrets.
Yes.
Just, hey, if anybody's down in my neck of the woods, stop in. You know, let's go get a cup of coffee or come to the writers group.
There you go. So I'm going to push you over to the side, just like that. And you got anything? No, you're done talking.
I am done talking.
All right. Anyway, this remind everybody, episode rewind this Saturday, right where you're at right now. You can watch wherever you're watching from right now. Episode 29 is Jack Krieges from Australia. You know, we had a little blowout during that one.
Oh, yeah.
I think is it
Poor
Joe
Jack
that came on with us, or I can't remember who came on.
Joe, did you come in and save the day, Joe?
Conchal came in and we talked with him, or it could have been George. I can't remember.
Maybe it was George for Jack Krieges. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good show and interesting character. And then next Wednesday, another live show. Everybody, mark it down. Nick Chiarkis. He's a crime thriller author, but he writes crime thrillers that are set in the 1950s and 60s. So he's got a little niche there of his own.
It wasn't Joe. It was George.
Must have been George. Yeah. So, at any rate, join us then. And don't forget to go over and listen to Beam Weeks and Stephen G's on their Voice of Indie podcast right now.
I do have a few more things. We've got a few more comments.
Okay.
Thanks, Robin, Joan, and Patrick. Very interesting show tonight. Really enjoyed it. Paul Hollis says, another awesome show. Thanks, everyone. Yes, and thank you. And love today's show. Thanks all. Yeah, thank you, everybody. It was an awesome show.
Thank
we
you for all
enjoyed
the
it also.
participation. We enjoy that.
Yes,
That
we
makes
love
it
the
what it is.
comments.
Yeah,
It makes it so
fun.
much fun.
Makes it fun. So
Because surprisingly, most of you are authors and you're pretty funny.
it is surprising.
And smart too. I'm impressed.
So I guess that's it. Until next time.
That's all, folks. See you next.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.